Out of all of the stills I own, this is my absolute favorite, and I'm excited to do a simple little upgrade for this bad boy. The good news is that this upgrade will apply to almost all stills out there. How's it going, chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. I'm Jesse, this is Still It, and I should probably start this video by telling you why this is my favorite setup. First of all, we have the pot down the bottom. This is actually made by Dr. Gratis out of Russia. You can't get these anymore because they've kind of fallen off the face of the planet for obvious reasons. But let me tell you why I like it. First of all, it's a great volume. I love having a 50-litre pot. It has a wide mouth at the top, easy to get stuff into it, easy to get stuff out of it, and to clean inside. It also has a false bottom sitting above the elements, so you can get a little bit, you can push things a little bit in terms of putting chunky stuff in there and it not scorching. It has two elements down the bottom, so you get really good control of power over a wide range, all the way up to 4 kilowatts. And it has a great dump valve at the bottom. In pot still mode, it's absolutely awesome because I can have a 4-inch sight glass with no plate in it just to monitor potential puking action, followed by the onion or helmet in copper, which is awesome. This one actually comes from Still Spirits, and over into my dirty great big 4-inch shell and tube condenser, which can easily knock down 4 kilowatts in stripping mode. It's a very easy adjustment to go from pot still mode over into plate or column mode with 1, 2, 3, or 4 plates. I've got 4 that I potentially use. I ditch the onion, put the D flag on, and once again run through my 4-inch D flag. All of that works wonderfully. So I've got pot distillation, double pot distillation covered. I've got one and done runs with the plates if I want to just put wash straight into the pot and not worry with stripping runs. I can kind of approximate double pot distillation in that way. The problem is, this still is really not set up to make vodka. I can't get a high ABV distillate out of this setup. I can push it to 85, 90%, maybe a little bit higher depending on the ABV of the liquid I put in the pot, but I can't reliably get 95% ABV from beginning to end of a run with the setup I've got going now. That's what we're going to fix today. First things first, let's get ourselves a baseline of what the still's doing now at its full capability. I've put a little bit of faints into the bottom of the pot and proofed it down to around about 10% ABV. The thinking here is that this is mimicking a one and done run or a significant way into a production run of vodka where you've already stripped the wash out. I brought the still up to temperature with full water flow going through the D flag so it would fraction and stack itself, slowly reduced the amount of water going through the D flag and tutued with the power a little bit until I got the offtake speed I was looking for. I've collected 500 mils, and now we can take a reading. And I am glad to say that this is a hair under 90%, pretty much spot on 90%. I was a little bit worried that I was telling you porkies in the intro saying 85 to 90%, but here we have it. I hit the mark. What are we going to do to raise that ABV up? Like I said, it's a very simple modification. Guess what? Into the AM are currently having their biggest sale of the entire year, 30 to 80% off until the 30th of November, I believe, American time. So if you've been checking out these cool graphic shirts that I wear, or the nice plain black ones that I'm always wearing, Into the AM is the place to get them. I love these things, and I know you love them too, because I get to see how many of you are buying how many shirts, and it is a buttload. I also get messages, emails, comments in person. I won't dox anyone, but it's basically something along the lines of, I bought one of the shirts, now I have a drawer full of them, it's your fault. We have a couple of collaborations with them as well. Shirts that were designed specifically for chasers of the craft. So if you haven't got those yet, or you need to top up, now is the absolute perfect time. They're comfortable, well made, long wearing. The artwork is absolutely dope, and they're constantly coming out with awesome new designs. So click the link in the description down below, and I think I think that'll give you an extra little discount. Don't hold me to that. But at the very least, it'll mean that they know that I sent you. This is a good thing for all of us. For you, for me, for them. So let's keep it going. This is just an empty pipe. Or when it's set up like this with ferrules on either end, it's generally called spool. So if you're looking for this, it is stainless steel, in my case 4-inch, spool with ferrules on the end. And you should be able to find this in a bunch of different places. I'll put links in the description down below to Amazon. It's probably easiest for most people, maybe AliExpress. And all I've got on the inside, it's hollow, is a bunch of copper scrubbies. The general rule of thumb when you're running a still like this is the width of the column relates to how fast you can run it, how much product you can be taking off the other end at any one time. The easiest way I remember that is the wider the column is, the more liquid's sitting at any one spot in it. And the amount of plates you have in the column relates to the ABV potential you can get out the other end. When you have individual plates like this, you can just literally count them up, and that's going to relate to the ABV potential you get out the other end. But what we can do is use packing instead. So instead of having, maybe 2 plates in this amount of space, we've got reflux interaction between vapor and liquid happening all the way down as the vapor and liquid, whoops, I'm dropping things, sort of bubbles up and drips down through all of this surface area. In other words, a packed column is going to be a lot more efficient in terms of the amount of theoretical distillations that are happening per the length, the height of the tube itself. The packing of choice for me at the moment is copper scrubbies, simply because that's what I have the most of, and a 4-inch column eats a bunch of them up. I also have another piece on the bottom here, which is basically kind of like a sieve, I guess, to hold all those copper scrubbies in place. And once again, that goes together with tri-clamps. Let's get this thing put onto the still, put the alcohol we've already distilled off back into the pot, so it's pretty much the same ABV, fire it up, and see what the difference is. Alright, the results are in, and we are at... I'm going to call that like 93.5%, and let's just double check with the temperature to make sure it's at calibration for this alchemeter. So I should say also too that going from 90 to 95% is a whole lot harder than going from 60% to 65% or 70 to 75%. You kind of get diminishing returns as you approach azeotrope. So these results aren't entirely unexpected. We're sitting at 19.5 degrees Celsius, pretty damn close, so it might be more like 94%. Honestly, team, at this point, I would probably be getting 95% relatively easy if I was running 40% ABV low wines in the pot instead of 10% ABV. But let's see if we can push the ABV even a little higher, because I have another spool. But I should address the fact that for me this is easy because I have a modular still, and the great thing about a modular still is that it's modular. So I can just add another piece in with a set of tri-clamps. Dirty easy. But remember team, it's not actually that hard to do this with just about any still out there. T500, for example, you can buy little converter kits. If people are into them, we can look at getting them into our store, chasercraft.com, and they will convert the top of the pot, the head of the pot, into a ferrule. You can put whatever ferrule parts you want in between, tri-clamp parts, and then go back to the T500 set above. If you've built your own still, you know what you're doing. You can figure this out by yourself. I think you get the idea. Anyway, let's get this other spool in on top, make the still ungodly tall, and I'll have to scrounge up every piece of packing I have in this place, and I probably still won't fill it. But let's see how we go. So, I'll be real with your team. I actually think that instead of putting this extra spool on top, I could probably focus on better packing this first spool down below. I just kind of threw the scrubbies in there. I didn't make sure that there wasn't like big channeling areas where the liquid can just fall straight down the side of the column or anything like that. So I'd probably have just as good a results by packing that column properly first. But, you know, for the sake of just going completely overboard, why not? Let's just put everything in this column and see what happens. I've got stainless steel rasher rings going in now, and then after that we've got ceramic rasher rings. It's going to take forever. See if we can't do this. Okay, that's actually full to right about here. Perfect. So now we have 4 plates and 60 centimeters of packed column. Let's run this thing one last time and see what the results are. The results from the final run are in, and it looks like it's reading 95%, a touch over 95%, perhaps. Trying to get down to like sub 1% ABV resolution on this kind of alchemy is pretty freaking hard. So I'm going to say I'm in the neighborhood of azeotrope, 95.6% ABV, which if you haven't run into this number before, that's like literally as high as you can go with this kind of distillation. You're not going to get any better. So I would call this a success. And I only had 10% ABV in the pot, honestly probably slightly less at the end because of just small amounts of losses along the way. It's not going to be 100% returned back into the pot, right? Charging that pot with 35 to 39% ABV for an actual run, I'm going to be making azeotrope really easily, which is awesome. I would call this a success. I need to say huge thank you to the Patreons. Thank you so much, Patreons, for being the people that support us day in, month out. We thoroughly freaking appreciate it. And of course, you guys have already seen a sneak preview of this video that went up on the Patreon platform. So thank you for watching it anyway. The takeaway for everyone at home is if you're struggling to get the desired and high enough ABV with a reflux still, the answer is more height, more packing, more interaction between vapor going up and liquid going down. Keep in mind though that you kind of get diminishing returns the closer you get to 95% in terms of the height of the column. So I hope you're having a kick-ass day, have a kick-ass rest of the week, and I'll see you next time guys. Keep on chasing the craft. See ya.